And then this last page, number 15, I need to find two side lengths here. And then I hope you guys remember this from earlier in the year, but these marks indicate that these two angles are the same. The other thing I want to draw into this picture really quickly, if this is a right angle and then we have a straight line, right on the other side of that also has to be a right angle. Okay, so I'm actually going to take and just separate these two triangles really quick that are touching each other. This is going to be a 28-degree angle here. This is B, and this is 3. And I'm going to go ahead and use that triangle to find B. So 3 is opposite, B is the hypotenuse, so this is going to be sine of 28, 3 over B. I'm just going to switch these variables in the denominator, so we're going to divide. So B should end up being 3 divided by sine of 28. All right, and then to find A, I'm going to use the other side there. This is this triangle, 28. This is A, and this side both of those triangles have in common is the 3. Now, the A here is opposite, and the 3 is adjacent, so this guy is going to be tangent of 28, A over 3. Now, in this case, my variable's in the top, so I'm going to multiply both sides by 3 to get A. And that's what I would type into my calculator for that one. Okay. Now, last 4 questions deal with the law of sines and log cosines, so you see both of those pictured. The law of cosines could have 3 different ways you can look at it, but it's the same pattern every time. And these aren't going to tell you which one to use, so you have to determine that. So here's my best advice. If you have more than one angle, you're going to use the law of sines. If you have no angles, you're going to use law of cosines, or if you have one angle and they ask you for a side, you're going to use the law of cosines. So here's this problem right here. It says find angle C. So I'm just going to put a little C degrees right there. I have 2 angles involved in this problem. I know I'm going to find one of them, but I also have another angle. So if 2 or more angles are involved, you're going to use the law of sines. So that's what I'm going to use here. For the law of sines, you are looking for an angle that you know and the side across from it to set up your proportion. And this is not like right triangle trig. You can use the law of sines and cosines with any triangle. It doesn't have to be a right triangle. So the setup here would be the sine of C over the side across, which is 17, and then the sine of 41 over the side across, which would be 12. We're just going to cross multiply here. So 12 times the sine of C, 17 times the sine of 41. And then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to divide by 12. Now, if you're doing this on your calculator, which is totally fine, you're going to get a really small, weird decimal if you do this, because you're doing the sine of C is equal to this. For this one, since you're doing an angle measurement, I actually need to take an inverse sine. So I might just do that before I type that in my calculator. I'm going to do the inverse sine of this whole thing. So 17 times. Now, just to help you out on your calculator, this should pull up some parentheses. And when you do the sine of 41, you want to make sure you close the parentheses around that and then divide it by the 12. If you go ahead and hit second sine first, you can do that all in one step, and that should give you your angle measure. For this question here, I have one angle. I'm asked about no other angles. So if you only have one angle and they ask you for a side, this is going to be law of cosines. Now, these 3, I call it side angle side, which is just a me thing, but you have a side, an angle that you know, and a side. Those make up the complicated side of, oh, I'm not on the screen, sorry. Your law of cosines, let me shove this down so you can see it. Okay, the one side that's across from the angle, that goes by itself, just like you see here. So the setup for this, I'm going to do x squared, and then it doesn't matter the order. We're going to do 36 squared plus 49 squared. Both of the sides, we're going to square them, add them together. Minus 2 is part of the formula. And then both of those sides again, 36, 49. and then cosine of 55, which is your angle measurement. Now, in this case, if you're doing the law of cosines and you're finding that missing side, you can literally do this whole thing in one step in the calculator. The only thing I want you to remember is this is equal to the square root of that side we're trying to find. I'm sorry, we're equal to the square of the side we're trying to find. So I always start these out on my calculator and I just do a big square root and then I type this whole thing right in, and that should give you your x value. Okay, for number 18 and 19 down here, I don't have a picture. So if you don't have a picture, always try to draw yourself a picture. So this, not to scale, but it just says ABC. So I'm just going to write ABC. Doesn't matter how you want to label it. Angles are capital letters, sides are lowercase letters. Now, you can see already I did not do a good job because that does not look like 124 degrees, but it says angle A is 124. Now, side B, lowercase letter, is across from angle B. So if this is angle B, side B is across the triangle from that, and that's supposed to be 10. Side C is going to be across from angle C, so it's going to be here in my picture. That's 14. And then we want to find A to the nearest measure. Now, this is really similar to the last question here. I'm trying to find a side, and I have two sides surrounding an angle. So this is actually going to be the law of cosines again. All right, so it doesn't matter the order. The a squared would go here, and then the two sides, 10 and 14, 2, and then I'm going to do 10 and 14, and then cosine 124. Now, the only thing I have to do here, just if you want to, you can do the whole thing in one step. Just start out by taking your square root button, because this is equal to the side I'm trying to figure out squared, and type the whole thing right in, and that should give you your answer for A. And I've got one left. DEF, again, I'm just going to sketch a little picture here. All right, side D is 12, side E is 18, and side F is 20. If you don't have any angles involved, it's going to be law of cosines automatically. I know that. We are going to find angle F. So I'll just call that X just for the sake of the problem. All right, now I know the two sides surrounding that angle. So this one is actually going to be law of cosines one more time. So what I want to do here is a little different than the question above, because if you're finding an angle, you're going to have to do a little bit more with what you have set up. So I am going to have 20 squared, and then it doesn't matter the order, but I need to square 12 and I need to square 18. 2 times 12 times 18, and then cosine, I don't know the angle, so we can't type this all right into the calculator. Okay, here's what I do. I figure out kind of in steps here. So 20 squared is 400. And then I'm just going to grab my calculator real quick here. I'm going to take 12 squared, and I'm going to add that to 18 squared. And we're going to get here 468. Okay, now this is important. You're doing three things here together. You're multiplying 2, 12, and 18. So let me clear this out. So I'm going to do 2 times 12 times 18, all three of those. This is 432, and then cosine x here. Now, don't subtract these. This 432 is attached to that cosine of x. What you actually want to do here is subtract the 468 from both sides. That's going to give you a negative 68. This would be negative 432 times the cosine of x. Now, to get that away from the cosine of x, I'm just going to divide by the negative 432. The negatives here are actually going to cancel out, and tell you what, I'm going to come, I don't know, where am I going to go? I'm going to draw a little arrow. I'm going to come up here. Okay, so negative divided by negative, that's going to give me 68, 432. equals cosine of x. Now, this can be reduced, but you don't have to do that. But what I do need to do is cancel out the cosine by doing an inverse cosine. So to get my answer here, it's going to be inverse cosine 68 over 432, and that will give me my angle measure.